Welcome to Thrive in the Mess. I'm your host, Lisa Hutchcraft Whitmer. We are going to take a look at a topic today that can be a real struggle for people, of not being able to have children and the option of adopting, and in particular, the option of adopting internationally. And I have a long-time, very dear friend of mine, Laura, who I just love, and I'm so thankful she's here today. We've known each other since high school, had lots of conversations sitting on the gym floor before we would go into gym class, which is very different nowadays, it seems. Back then, we were like doing all kinds of like volleyball, then it rotated to something else, and then rotated to something else. And I felt like we were like hardcore. They were preparing us for the Olympics. I felt like
If it involved a ball, I got hit in the head with it. I remember French class was more, though.
I know. We were in French class, and we were Lise and Laure, because
Lise
those are our French names. Yes. So I just love that you are here. Thank you for being willing to talk and share your mess, some of your mess. We all have messes, different messes, but this is a mess that affects a lot of people, of not being able to have children, and share a little bit about, some of that.
Whew. Well, I was married for 10 years and still never pregnant. So it was becoming, a little more difficult with every passing year. In the beginning, I was still in college, didn't necessarily want children, but if they came, I would have been thrilled. And then still no children. All my friends having children, teenagers in the mall having children.
Right.
It's that kind of thing. And there is a word for it. I don't know what it is, but when you, let's say, are interested in buying a new Honda, you'll suddenly see Hondas everywhere.
Right.
So all I could see were babies everywhere, and none of them were mine.
And nowadays, like Gen Z says, like FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Like you were.
I was
Missing out.
Yeah.
And seeing it everywhere. You're right.
Right. When you're walking through a mall and seeing a literal 16-year-old pushing a stroller with her boyfriend, and you're like, she's not equipped to be necessarily a mom at that age. She's doing it, God bless her, but I have a home, I have a room, I have empty arms,
Ready.
very empty arms. So it becomes just difficult. Can remember things, and if you're walking through infertility, you know what I'm talking about. Going to friends' baby showers and just forcing yourself and just praying that you can get through it. But one time, the cake literally said, "Congratulations on becoming a family."
Oh.
And I really, not that I've dwelt on all these years, but wow, when I was really thinking through my journey, just knowing I was going to be speaking to you, that cake came back to me.
Wow.
And I remember how painful, thinking I'm not only with no baby, I'm not even a family. Like, what am I right now? And
So that's kind of our culture saying that, a perspective, which is hurtful. I think it, we don't always think of the words we say, and to say that we're still a family. I feel like Rick and I were still a family when we were, even though you're a couple, and some people are single, for their whole life. I have an aunt who has been, and she's her family, like we're her extended family and very much her family. But yeah, wow, that must have been rather painful.
it was. I had a hard time. It wasn't like it was something I saw at a not hard time in my life. So it just added insult to injury in a sense. Just many of those moments through people who didn't mean it. It's not like anyone has a poor intention when they're doing things like that. They're celebrating something that should be celebrated.
Right.
But when your experience is so removed from that, and you're, literally waiting month by month, finding out that this special person is still not coming into your life, even though, you're hopeful.
Yeah.
It's an every month battle.
How did you walk through that time? Like, did you see God show up? There are those painful moments. Did you see God show up in any special ways during those times?
That is a really good
And
question.
at the same time, though, it's real, like, there's a lot of that incoming, and it becomes our, like you're saying, every month, this is a monthly thing. It's kind of the way God made us, to see, okay, not here again.
Right.
Um,
To have that desire to be a parent is a good thing, because let's face it, being a parent is a hard job.
yeah.
So,
And the Bible talks about it too, literally, people like Hannah begging God for a child,
yeah,
and so this is a story through the ages, where
absolutely.
it's painful.
Yeah, Sarah, Hannah, we have to imagine Elizabeth and Rachel,
Yeah.
just so many women who were just crying for children, and some of them didn't get them until they were elderly, and I certainly didn't want to be elderly. Please do not give me a baby when I'm 90, Lord. No.
Oh, man.
It was bad enough that I was like 32 when
No, a
my
family. No.
um
No one would be left alive to come to the baby shower. That's so sad. You know what? But that's part of the thing of, like, just having joy in the middle and being able to have laughter when it hurts.
right, right.
So
And it was, obviously I didn't have a whole life of I am a joyful person.
yeah.
I can find joy in any circumstance,
That's one of the
even
things
when
I
it's
love
hard.
about you. Yes, yes.
But, deep down, is there not this huge hole underlying it all, that you're just trying to cover? Yes.
Yeah.
I would say the important lesson that I learned was trusting God's timing, but more so, I had to learn about idolatry first.
Oh.
It wasn't really until we were in the process of bringing our first son home, and he just was not coming home, and there was
Spoiler alert.
yeah, spoiler alert. There was no reason for him not to be coming home. Paper-wise, just looking at the way the world works, there was no reason, but there was. And I had to come to terms with the fact that I had made an idol out of that child, out of a child, out of being a mom. I had placed it so high up there in my life that I feel that it wasn't until I really recognized it and just said I'm sorry and had to take some steps back from that then I finally did become a mom.
Well, that is really powerful. And that's one thing. Anything that is on the throne of our heart anything can end up there, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a child, whether it's to have a child or even after we have a child. So,
Yeah.
wow.
We can put our children there pretty easily.
Right.
So it's
Right.
always been
Or career, and like, that's really powerful. It's almost like that freed you up in a way then. Okay, so now fast forward to no, that's really powerful. I think that's very, very strong. But and I'm sorry for what you went through with that, because that is very painful, and it is a great grief for many people. And there is some hope. You actually looked at international adoption.
Yes. Yep. International adoption it's not easy now. It certainly was not easy back then, but
And what led you to that even? Because you're at this point, and when were you like, okay, I'm done running through this every month. I want to do this.
yeah. Excuse my voice. I always had a heart for adoption. There was never a time when I even got tested for fertility things.
Right.
I already knew that the hormones and other things would not be great for me. I just don't respond to medicine very well. I get a lot of side effects. I didn't want all of that happening to my body. So, I guess by the time we were 8 or 9 years into marriage, it was just kind of like, okay, this is clearly not maybe something that's happening right now. Maybe it still will, but my heart is still there for adoption. And it's just, how many more years am I waiting?
Yeah.
And then I just kind of watched the stones turn and make way and the oceans part and Guatemala was just there.
Wow.
So that became the country that I was just drawn to
Wow.
for many reasons, but it was still not easy.
Yeah.
You know, it is very hard, but
It's like the death of a dream and a hope in a way, but yet God opening another door.
yeah,
Is that fair to
I
say?
think I had two simultaneous dreams. I think I would have always wanted to adopt a child either way.
Right, right.
So I don't feel like it was the death of a dream.
Right.
If I'm going to be completely honest, my prayer was always for a child, not really for a pregnancy.
Ooh, that's powerful. I like
I'm
that.
really not a great fan of newborns.
The truth comes out years later.
It was okay that I bypassed some of that.
How old were your children when they came home?
They both came home at about 13 and a half months
They
old.
were very
Yeah, I
older.
missed their
I'm
first
trying to
birthday.
remember.
That was also painful, but still beautiful.
We did with our daughter too, because we adopted, but from China, our baby, our daughter. So
How old was she when she came home?
she was a year and a week. So,
okay.
Yeah, so we missed her
similar.
first birthday, first Christmas,
Yes.
Yeah, those kinds of things. So, and then we actually celebrated her year and a half birthday when we were traveling with some Native American young people, got a huge sheet cake, and she had just begun starting to walk. She was still really baby, not a lot of body strength, when we first brought her home. But this is your story, but I know
I want to hear your story.
we're kind of like tying all this into, because we both did have a heart to adopt, and internationally too. So Guatemala, okay,
Yes.
and
Miracle story, because essentially we had to go to what was then called INS, Immigration and Naturalization Services in Newark, New Jersey, in July of 2001.
oh,
And they said our fingerprints would be completed by September of 2001.
oh no,
And then, of course, on September 11th, two planes left Newark Airport and did what they did. And
I had paperwork back.
INS was not worrying about adoptive parents.
Right.
So our September fingerprints were not back in October, November, December.
Oh, so you're waiting month by month yet again.
Yes, we were waiting month by month. And the agency that we had originally chosen would not allow us to take a child,
Yeah.
to start the process until we had those fingerprints back.
Because it was like background checks, and I remember
It's all of that. Yes,
fingerprinting and all that.
fingerprinting.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
We got
very
fingerprinting on our anniversary. We went to dinner and then went to the police station.
Okay.
We're like, we're doing this, baby.
It's romantic.
And we actually took a picture. We're like getting fingerprinted on our anniversary. We're like, hey, Jesus. So, but,
It was definitely not a romantic
back.
place in
I
Newark to
know.
go to. It was
Oh, the police station wasn't romantic.
kind of frightening, honestly.
I bet. Oh, wow.
So I'll tell that story. So we're in December, and there were just a lot of things happening, and it was becoming much more painful. And so a friend of mine had said, call this other agency because they have babies born in the Marshall Islands and they come to Honolulu. So that is not considered an international adoption.
Oh.
You don't need those fingerprints. So I phoned this agency and I just said to the woman, I'm interested in your Marshall Islands program. That is all that I can recall saying to her.
Yeah.
And she said, that program is ending. And honestly, very few children are really born there. They're small islands. It's not like there are hundreds of children born there and shipped to Honolulu.
Right.
So she said it's ending. But if you happen to be interested in a baby boy from Guatemala, that's exactly what I was interested in, a baby boy from Guatemala. I desperately wanted a boy. That was absolutely first of mind.
And the country that God called you to.
And so it felt very much God moving and nothing to do with me, which it needed to be because of my idolatry problem. I really needed to know I was not doing this and that God was.
Wow. That's a big time showing up of God. And your friend prompting you to even call them and
yeah.
wow.
So I told her I don't have my international, fingerprinting done. I've been waiting since July essentially, but here we are in December, and she said, I have no problem giving you this referral. They're going to come. She said, they're going to come. And that was so affirming because I started to feel like they weren't going to come. And they did in January. We had already taken a referral. So
how amazing though, if you hadn't waited, you wouldn't have looked at another option, and that's where your son came. And like literally the month after that, like God's timing, but then the month after that, then you got them. And also I love how God brought someone along who wasn't just, no, we got to check all the boxes. She's like, they will come. How encouraging to have that lady that God plopped her in your life at a moment you really needed that encouragement.
Yeah.
I just love that so much.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I feel like I'm like breathing deep, because I didn't know that part of his story. And this is the thing, like I know parts of your story, and then, but wow. Okay. So January.
So
referral.
Right. And then, as I told you, it took a long time to get him home. He should have technically been home by that August, and then not. Here goes the waiting game again. September, we're told that we've been through family court and we have a new birth certificate. So I'm trying to bring him home for September or October. And then that wasn't happening. And I found out through a very painful conversation that all of the conversations were about some other baby and not mine, that I had been kicked out of family court and had to do another document, which takes at least a month to do and get all the certifications and send it back another month. And then Christmas, his birthday came and went, and then Christmas came and went, and we moved into a new year, 2003, and on January 15th, this little child who didn't know anything about America, what it smells like, sounds like, the food, not a single thing, hopped on a plane, took a plane ride for a whole day with a pretty much total stranger.
Wow.
And at about, 7:30 p.m. was put in my arms, and he just grabbed the lapels of my leather jacket and put his head on my chest and smiled. And yeah.
Oh, that moment. Okay. That is like,
Yeah.
it's like the moment where God brings mom and child together. Just, how did you feel? Like, did you see him coming off the?
Oh, he was the last one off the plane.
I think I remember hearing some of that. Yeah.
He was the last one off the plane. Wow. So I once again started feeling like, I don't know. I mean, it feels like everybody's off that plane and no one's coming.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, this woman carrying this baby. And, so much time was going by. I have to be honest. I really thought he's going to come to be our child and walk through the door like walking, chewing gum. Hi, Ma, how's it going?
On the train.
Hi, train.
Can I have the keys to?
Oh, I really expected. I'm like, this is going to be just, he's just already going to be his own person. And I've missed it all. And God in his providence, I missed nothing.
Wow.
He was in a lovely foster home. I know it was lovely because they sent me pictures. They sent me pictures of his first birthday where these people who didn't have much brought him a chocolate cake this big around. There were a lot of children. I don't think he was ever put down.
Yeah.
I think he was held all the time because he actually didn't know how to even sit up from laying down.
Wow.
Crawl, do anything. I got to teach him all of that.
Yeah.
I missed nothing.
Isn't that a beautiful?
Yeah.
You missed the newborn.
I missed the parts I didn't want.
That you didn't want.
Oh.
It's a commercial for international.
You're really putting us together on this podcast. We're just going.
We don't talk about these things in advance because I want it to be authentic. We touch on a little, but it was the same way with our daughter. I remember we tried to sit her up in the bed when we were in China. It was like this king size bed, and she would just fall over. She had no strength, and so we were trying to prop her up with pillows and all, and so I felt like she was still very baby.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that your son had been like that too. So baby, but so loved, which that is such a gift. Like, that's wonderful. He was held all the time because there's always a little bit of, I'm going to throw the word trauma in there, because a child has been separated from their birth parent and then they're with someone else, and I don't think you can spoil someone by holding them like that. And I'm really thankful to even hear that he had that kind of love,
Oh, he definitely did.
and literally came right
was-
to your arms
Right.
and like, wow.
Right.
Ah,
Yeah. Miracles after miracles,
right.
honestly. And then as he grew, I would have completely adopted another boy. As a speech language pathologist, most of my clients in early intervention were boys. So I was very used to boys, and I loved having him. But he wanted baby sister.
Oh, did he pick?
He did, actually.
I love that.
So we were away in Pennsylvania at a bed and breakfast, and providentially, because there were a lot of problems with our last adoption agency, I did not want to use them again.
Right.
And at the table with us for breakfast in the morning was a woman who worked for an adoption agency, and they did Guatemalan adoptions. And she said, "Here's my boss's card. She handles that part. You call her."
Another God thing.
So another God thing, like finding a new agency just so easily. They had a little website with children who were waiting for, families, so possible referrals. But as you know, a dossier takes at least 2 months to complete, if
Right.
not longer. And we had not started our dossier. So we were at least 2 months.
There's home study, all the
Home
paperwork, all
study,
the
all this stuff.
Yeah.
So we were not near there. And my son said, "This is my baby sister." And he would sit and watch her little video. And he said, "This is my baby sister." And I'd say, "I'm sorry, honey, that's not your baby sister."
Was it the face of a child, though?
Every day we went through this. "That's not your baby sister. We're not ready yet." All of the little girls, and I know many of their parents, all the little girls born right there around her birthday, younger, older, were all being accepted by families, and not my daughter. And
Your son knew. God had
he
used
said,
him.
"That's my sister." And it didn't matter how many times I told him no. God said, "No, that's his sister." And so nothing could stop that. And that is a powerful thing to recognize, that
Wow.
no amount of how cute she was, how available she was, how many parents were choosing children, there certainly were ample numbers of prospective parents.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's clearly this is who God made for our family and made us for her. And it's a powerful thing to be able to rest in that, because especially with Guatemalan adoptions, I'm sure with a lot of foreign adoptions, there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of questions that come into play as to, how did this child come to be? And was she really, meant to be adopted? Was she still, like, just a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And I can say with total confidence, no, my children were both made for me by God. They weren't made for anybody else. It didn't matter who made them. They had a very important goal, and they had to make a very hard choice, no matter what their situation was. And that's also something with adoption I'm very careful about, is adoption language. My children knew right away that they were adopted. It's not that they are adopted. They were. It was an act. They are mine.
Right. I like that.
They.
Well, I love verbs in the Bible.
Yes.
And I love that verb.
Yeah, that verb is important.
That's powerful.
You are adopted. You
Yeah.
are mine. You are in this family. And your mother didn't give you up for adoption. Your birth mother didn't just give you up like she gives up, a coat or what have you.
Right.
No, she made a plan for you. And that was hard.
Yeah. Heartbreaking for a parent. I think of that. We've prayed for our daughter's birth parents and birth family. We don't know who they are,
Right.
and you do know,
I have
didn't you?
photos. I
You
have photos, a
That's
little bit
what
of
it was.
background information.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do. I remember you knew something or other, and so it's different country to country, but yeah, that is really powerful. I really agree with. I know you and I also appreciate calling the day they were adopted. There's different things. There are some terms you and I kind of are on the same page, and we like, it's our child's put their name there, their day,
Yes.
or it's like Forever Family Day or something like that. everyone calls it something different, but that we kind of like celebrating them. This is the day you became a part of our family. And I like that we a lot of times will get Chinese food. Well, our daughter's like off in the life now, but we like to celebrate with I don't know if you get Guatemalan food. I don't even know where to find
I
Guatemalan.
know it's not that easy. When
It
Andrew,
is a little easier.
there was a Guatemalan cafe when Andrew, we had to readopt.
Right.
And then they became legal U.S. citizens, and we were able to like legally change their first names and what have you. Their last names were already legally changed, but there was a little Guatemalan cafe in our town, strangely enough. So we did go there after his ceremony. It had closed by the time Carrie came around. So, but no, Guatemalan food is not like, you have to basically revert to Mexican food,
Yeah, right.
which is fine. Mexican food.
One other thing, I know, yummy too. One other thing that is interesting to me is that we had no idea with us when we were looking to adopt. We had two boys, and then similar to you, I thought of adopting. Rick and I had thought of adopting. We had talked about that for years, and when we were dating, and so we end up going down that road. But at the time, we were like, okay, it's time. We had no funds set aside for it. But the thing is, we stepped out. We felt God really pushing our hearts, to do that then. And the finances did come. Like that's a whole nother God story with all that. But it's very interesting to just see the timing of that, because now there's a timeline. I don't know about Guatemala, but international adoptions for China, like the year we went to get our daughter was the highest year of adoptions. And then things began to dwindle from there, and now they've stopped. So as far as I don't know with Guatemala, but like you look at that and it's like if we didn't step out at those moments in time, like God knew, okay, nope, this child, literally, we didn't even know. Like our daughter was, she was in utero at that point. Her mom was expecting her, and we began praying for her and just all the things that she'd be healthy, all these things. And literally, our home study, we didn't know this until we got her information almost a year later, that our home study with the social worker coming to make sure you're decent people,
Not couch potatoes.
not couch potatoes.
You are not allowed to be a couch potato.
Right. And then you have a place for her, just all that. And it was on the day our daughter was born.
Oh,
Which
wow.
I know when we told the social worker that, because we got her paperwork like in December, then that was January, and we're like, guess what? It's our daughter is, it was born that day. So that's one thing I just want to pull out of your story and our story of seeing the hand of God when with timing is hard, and and the waiting, and even it's interesting, even waiting till the last person coming off the plane. And you knew at that point he's on that plane. That God sustains us. Yeah, I believed it. And just the waiting and the months. And I love seeing the hand of God. I love seeing gracious people along the way, like the lady, the Marshall Islands connection. Then she had a Guatemala connection, and just other things like that. But I also I think it helps to, I don't know that I even knew what you were walking through with all that every month.
Right.
And we didn't really text and stuff then. I don't remember when
cell
we started.
phones then?
No,
Really?
I think I was like earlier. I don't know, but so you think of that, you're not exactly reaching out. Texting is such an easy way to connect and say, "Hey, how are you doing?" Whatever, But to just kind of have that grace with the people around us, we don't know what they're walking through if they are not able to have children, and that month by month, and how painful. I feel badly. I have not thought of that before, and that I didn't know to even maybe walk through that even with you, and to just have that be something we're aware of what people are. I'm always thinking, okay, what are people aware of? But it takes living life more to even realize, wow, I could have been there more through that, even with that in some ways. And it's just a good reminder for all of us to just kind of step in there and be thinking of others. Life is so busy. It's real easy to blow by, bloop, and not seeing the things like that. But so you have then, you have your beautiful children. Your family grew. I'm not going to say you finally had a family. Your family grew at that point, just coming full circle.
You became a family.
There you go. I should have brought a cake. No. But what a beautiful thing that, and honestly, when we were adopting, I thought of the word, but I think of this not just with adoption. I think of this with a lot of people in our world about how God sets the lonely in families. And that's that's in the Bible even. And I'm like, that is so powerful, of people who might not have that family. And God's like, nope, your son, he's going to be Laura's son. Your daughter, our daughter. I remember telling our boys, I'm like, we're praying for your sister. The government of her country is not choosing her. Like, they would say, they take literally the family pictures and try to match people.
Oh, really?
Look at the situation. Well, that's what they had described at the time, and just kind of looked at the whole thing of who a family is. And I said, God's going to tell that person who your sister's going to be. But I love your story of God using your son, saying, that's going to be my sister. So just to win another God thing, oh my goodness.
She also came home the night before Thanksgiving, which was amazing. But that was a month before they closed Guatemalan adoptions to the United States permanently.
Really?
So had
Oh my goodness.
gotten her home, if I had to wait one more month and then a week, we are very likely, could maybe not have even gotten her home. But God made sure, because everyone was telling me, no, she's not going to be able to come home the night before Thanksgiving. And I said, yes, she is.
Wow.
And sure enough, we drove to the airport, and everybody said it's going to be crazy at the airport the night before Thanksgiving. Right. And it actually was not. The drive was easy. The airport was easy. She was not the last person off the plane, I don't think, because now in the post 9/11 world also, we couldn't get close to the gate she was in. So
that's right.
She actually did get strolled right past us, and I didn't recognize her. And she was about to get on an elevator, and my mother said to me, I believe that's Carrie. Oh. And I said, no, that baby was too small. And I was expecting her to be being strolled or carried by a Guatemalan woman, and the woman did not look Guatemalan at all. Carrie didn't really look Guatemalan either for that. They both had just two very different looks about them. And so I called the woman's name, and she turned around, and we just gasped, like... So it was a very different experience, because when she strolled back my way and I looked at her, I was like, you're my baby. She just was so much smaller. The photos I got apparently were just very close. So she looked like this very heavy baby. And she was a tiny little thing.
They did a lot of touching up on the photos.
No, she looked so big and chubby, and she was tiny. I had to take her coat back and exchange it for a smaller one. I'm like, it was just so funny that she was just this tiny thing.
And you know what? I am still sitting here amazed that one more month, and it was almost like an exclamation point of, Laura, I'm God.
Mm-hmm.
Look what I've done.
Watch me work.
That, and then adoption closed. I am just really blown away. Because I knew they had closed at a certain point, but I did not remember 1 month, and that month timeline has been huge in your life. So
yeah.
Well, lots of months with your children. Any other thoughts just on being a mom and just seeing international adoption, and just the walking through before, and now you've had a lot of other years with your young adult children now, and yeah.
I'm just amazed and so grateful by God's goodness that those kids would be mine. I cannot imagine my life without them. I can't imagine my life with somebody that's not them, I mean, I'm sure I would have loved other children, but they're mine. And I just thank God every day, honestly, that I get to experience that and experience life through their eyes, and that we are family.
Wow. Powerful. There is a verse that I wanted to kind of end with, just because I was nervous about leaving our 2 sons and then flying to China to bring our daughter home. I'm like, should we fly on separate flights? You're a mom. You're like, should we, and we did fly together, my husband and I, to go. But God, I feel like there is something about everything in God's word. It really always blows my mind. And I've lived my life going to God's word for lots of stuff. But with this verse, it's in the book of Isaiah, and I literally wrote it out and taped it under the window on the plane on my way over to China. And it says, "Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bring your children from the east and gather you from the west." And in our case, we were going to the east. You were north south, but you could put it there too.
Yeah.
I will bring your children from the south and you from the north. And do not be afraid, for I'm with you month by month. Or do not be afraid, for I'm with you. Like, I wasn't really having this long flight and, leaving my children, but headed to, and just trusting God in that process. And just what a joy that's been to us to have God pick our children, whether they are, biological, whether they're adopted. They're our child. They are our child. They are our people. So I love that about bringing your children, gather you from here, and how God puts us together with that. So, wow, I'm still like, whew, this has been amazing. Thank you for talking. Thank you for sharing your story, being so open. And I really pray that encourages you today, if you're walking through infertility, that month by month cycle of not having those empty arms and the pain that goes along with that. And I pray you see God show up each month for you. And I pray that you will just be encouraged in some way today by hearing Laura's story. Thanks for joining us. And next time, join us for Thrive in the Mess and some more encouragement.